Hey, hello there everyone. How are we all? Okay, let's put the chat on, let's turn that down. How are we? Okay, right. Right. Hello there. Right, apologies, my voice is going to sound a bit strange today, probably a bit croaky, might be a bit soft at times. I've I don't know, I've got some sort of coldy thing at the moment, so hopefully the microphone is turned up enough for you to hear me. I've also got a bit of a cough, so if I start talking too much, it might end up making me cough as well. So lovely to have you here. We've got a few of you here. Hi Helen, how are you? Have you warmed up yet? Have you had your soup? Hi Tracy. Hi Patricia. Merry Christmas, Patricia. Thank you very much. Same to you as well. Hi Kathy. Same to you. Hi Lisa from California. Lovely to have you here. I'm guessing you've got better weather than us. It's so dark here. I've had to spend the last few minutes fiddling around with the lights and making sure I've not got too many shadows and things. So I've got the big lights on in front of me. I didn't put the top light on because that caused a massive shadow coming over the desk this way. So, oh, the palavering is absolutely pouring down here today. Hi Becca, how are you? Lovely to have you here. Hi Sheila, your favourite houses? Yes, they are lovely. And I didn't think I'd be using them again today, but today's live is a request from Sue Stewart, who will possibly watch this later on if she can't join us today. Hi Lorraine. Hi Sharon. Oh, nice Helen. Yum. Yeah, I think I could do with a bit of soup actually, and a nice bit of bread. That'll go down a treat. Yeah, I've had a funny old weekend. Well, basically, I didn't even see the weekend. I came down with a bug on Friday evening, and Saturday was a total wipeout. I think I only saw about an hour of daylight on Saturday. I just slept all the way through. Very, very strange. Sunday, a little bit better. I made the effort to get up, but it put me out completely. There was so much I wanted to do at the weekend, like put the tree up, get the house sorted out, finish off some odd jobs and makings that I had to do so I could get them posted off, but none of that happened at all. So I'm all out of sorts. So setting up for today's live, it was actually quite a blessing that Sue requested this card from Mary Kelly. You may have seen it in the group. You can see the picture there, but it meant I didn't have to sort of think anything up. So I knew what I was making today, and that was fine. But it's also made me realise that this is my last live of the year, because next Tuesday is Christmas Eve, and I'm sure we'll all be super busy to be doing other things to be worrying about our lives. But yeah, this is my last one of 2024, so I'll be back with you in the new year. Good news is, though, that this week we have Lisa coming back on our lives on Friday evening at 6:30. So that'd be a great way to finish this year off. But yeah, it's come around really quick. So, oh, excuse me. So yeah, it's my last one with you this year. But we've got lots happening in 2025. Lots of it I don't know. Lisa keeps saying it's really exciting and it'll be bigger and better, and judging by how this year's gone, then next year can only be bigger and better. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. Hi Sophie, how are you? Oh, you might have COVID. I didn't have COVID, Patricia. I did actually take a test for it. I did make sure that it wasn't that, because where are we, December, probably 5-6 weeks ago, I had both the flu jab and the COVID jab as well, just to make sure. And I know you can still get them after having the jabs, so it's sort of a lot less, but I did make sure that this wasn't anything sort of contagious. I am still one of those people who do the tests. I think it's the science person. I actually used to work in a lab, and I used to work in the flu labs in London. So every time flu season came round, i.e. this season, when you'd all go to the doctors and get your samples taken and whatever, they'd all flood into the labs that I worked in. So I used to do all the testing for flu anyway. So I think that's one reason why I still get the flu jab, because of them days, and also that's why I still do the testing for COVID, because it's just sort of ingrained in me, I think. What's this? Tracy's requesting flower blooms and essential foliage. I can do that. There'll be lots of new things in the year. There will be, but there is always space and time for the old favourites as well. And it's a really nice way to mix and match and bring in Lisa's new stuff and show you how it can sort of intertwine into our old favourites that we already have in our stash. But I can certainly put that on my list to be done for sure. But let's get on with today. So many of you will remember Mary Kelly's name. Mary Kelly used to be a design team member with us. And it's really nice that she still posts really, really regularly in the Crafting with Lisa Horton group, using all of Lisa's stuff. So she's still a fan. She's still around. It's lovely to see her keep posting as well into the group. And this card is a good example. It's a probably classed as the clean and simple, but to me they are so effective. And these houses, I've used them quite a few times. I've probably used them 2-3 times already this year, and initially when they were first launched, but I've always coloured them. But this time around I'm actually using them white, as has Mary here. So you'll see here, this is the one that I've already mocked up. I like to do this when I make a shaped cards. Shaped cards aren't my forte unless I have something in front of me to look at and replicate. So this is the one that I've mocked up just to get all of the measurements and everything for you. It looks really nice white, actually, doesn't it? But I really like Mary's simple colorway here as well. So I will be following that as well, but I will show you how the card is put together. I'll just run through the other things quickly that Mary has used. And actually, if I stand that up for you there, that you can see, actually I'll talk through this card. You can see it folds flat, which was one of the questions that Mary was asked when she put this in the group. It absolutely does fold flat into a 6x6 footprint, so it will easily fit into a 6x6 envelope for you. When you take it out of the envelope, it will initially want to sort of spring back into its shape and stand up. So to stand it up, you have that little bit of an option, that little bit of wiggle room to create the V in the card here. And I'll just turn this over and I'll show you the mechanisms as you will be making this. There's a hinge in here for the house, and we also have the dome of the acetate here. Now that dome isn't really easy to see. I need to get some darker card. Just reach behind me. I'll just get some darker card here. There we are. What you should be able to see, there's the acetate there for you now. So we have the acetate dome, and this is measured very carefully. So when I pull this straight, everything lays flat. Okay. So the measurements are quite accurate on this one. Really is nothing too tricky though. But once I show you how it's put together, you'll understand how this works. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, so the items that I'm using today, and I do have a slide for this here. Yeah, so I'm using the Cosy Christmas Home. So I've added the layering stencils on. I probably won't be using the layering stencils today. I have done other videos, live videos for you, where I've coloured the houses in a couple of different colourways to give you different looks. So you can search those out on Lisa's YouTube. If you put Cosy Christmas Home, they should come up for you. And also on the thumbnail, there'll be pictures with the projects of the house on. So what I am using today is the embossing folder, and with the embossing folder comes 2 dies, so you get 1 die to cut out each of the houses. So I'm using those. And then for the background, if you remember, Mary had used a pink design paper, but what I thought I'd use in the background today, I'd still be using pink actually. I'll be using some of Lisa's white core card. The mermaid pack is the one that I have, and I'm actually using pink. I think I said something the other day on my live that every time I use the white core, I use the blue colours. That's my favourite too. So I'm actually using a different colour today. So that's great. But what I thought I'd do is create a background. Excuse me. Probably a couple of different backgrounds just to try a couple of different looks. One with the cinnamon sticks and oranges. So for this we have the embossing folder and the layering stencils. No dies involved with it. This one, there's no need. It's purely a background collection that we have. So I will be stenciling this onto the pink, the white core cardstock, and then embossing it. And I may well just sand it back a little bit as well. But also I thought what I'd give it a go with this slimline embossing folder that we've got. This has been out a long while. Actually, you can tell by the name it's the embossing folder number 80, but it's really Christmassy. It's a lovely, lovely Christmas one. It's still in stock on Lisa's website, and that'll be a really nice one to use with the white core cardstock sanded back as well. So I think that'd be a really nice textured one for the background. So I thought I'd give both of them a go as well. So I think what I'll do, we'll get onto the bones of the card. So I'm going to, I'll bring this slide back at the end. Hopefully I'll remember. But if not, all of those details will be under the video once I've finished a little bit later on anyway. Okay, so you can see here the dimensions I've given you for the cards. Now this does not include any of the cardstock or paper stock you need for the houses or the mats that are going to go behind the house. This is purely to construct the card, if that makes sense. So as I say, what you need to start with is the actual base of the card, which I'm using Lisa's Super Smooth cardstock, the white. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with creating this card in a different colour cardstock. Actually, that might work really nicely as well, because I think it's definitely a style that can be added to, or it's a style that can be used for any occasion actually. So the base of the card here is 6 by 6 inches, as you can see at the top there. And we make 1 score on this, 1 score mark at 3 inches. So I've got a tiny little scoreboard here. So we just make 1 score mark in the middle at 3 inches all the way down, like so. And then we can fold that, and it's good practice to give this a good burnish actually. Although this card is going to be sitting straight, laying flat in an envelope, you do want to have that sort of fibre memory that the paper has, and sort of allow it to sort of come back into a folded position. So give that a good burnish like so. So that's our card base. We then have the 2 decorative panels. They are 2 3/4 inches in width, and 5 3/4 inches in height. So they will obviously sit on each side like that. Now I've cut white ones here. I will actually be using the pink white core card, and I've cut those panels out. So we'll have the 2 pink panels in this particular card sitting on the back like so. You need 1 acetate strip. Now, of course, Lisa has the acetate or pack of acetate that she brought out. It's the Christmas acetate. Oh, I didn't actually check if it was online, still online or not, actually. But if you have Lisa's acetate, then that would be a really nice one to use. It's really sturdy. It's a good weight to it. I didn't get the original packaging with mine, so I'm not quite sure what the weight of it is, but it's so sturdy. It's 7 inches long, and you score at 1/2 inch in, and then 6.5 inches here. So basically, you create 2 tabs 1/2 inch wide at either end of the acetate strip, as you can see here. Now, what you do want to make sure you do, let's come over here because I think there's a bit more light over here, isn't there? See, I do need to get my lighting sorted out on these dark days. So what you do need to remember is that Lisa's acetate is protected on both sides with this clear film. So you need to remember to take that off, and that then just sort of shows off the clarity that we have the acetate. Now, I'm lucky I do have some of the snowfall acetate left, which I'm really pleased with. So I really like that. What I'm going to do now, I have the acetate here. You take off the decorative panels. You don't need those at this stage. Now that we have the base panel, or the card base panel, and we have the acetate, now we can put these together. Oh, hi, Mary. Oh, no. Now I'm nervous, Mary. Now I've got you watching me. I hope I've done this right. Okay, it's a super card. It's a lovely card, actually. Shaped cards aren't my forte unless I know how I'm making them and I sort of get prompted to make them. I should make them more often, but it's just not a thing I do. But I really, really like this one. It's so straightforward to make as well. So what I've done, I've taken Lisa's acetate, and what you would have seen me do just there is just create a really nice burnish mark so that these 1/2 inch tabs really do sit nicely behind that strip for you. Okay, and just take your time with this. It takes a little bit longer to score and burnish the acetate, but it's worth doing. And once it's been folded and burnished into place, then that's where it stays. Now, the idea is that what you're left with, once you folded the tabs back, you're left with a strip of acetate, which is as wide as your card is wide here. So if you wanted to alter the dimensions of this card, that's what you need to bear in mind, that the acetate strip really needs to be as wide as your card base. Now, I'm going to attach this to the card base now. You can use glue. You would just take quite a bit of time for it to dry, and you'd really need to sit and hold that in place, which obviously isn't ideal when you're watching me. And if you want to secure it in place with glue, I think what I might suggest doing is using some red liner tape. Actually, it's work on there. Okay. I did try with a sort of dark background, actually, but it made everything really dark. So I thought if I just work on a little piece of dark card, you can see what I'm doing. But what I'm doing is putting some red liner tape on the tabs here. And I know that this is strong enough and will grip straight away to hold the acetate in place straight away. We don't want any slipping or movement about, really, if we can help it. So if I can take the liner off of there. Actually, I think what I might do, oh yeah, if I, just while I'm working with the acetate and at this stage, I think I might, yeah, come in with that closer camera for you. It's a slightly different angle as well, so it might help you see a little bit better what I'm doing. Okay, so I can bring in my card blank and you can see that I've got the score line down the centre. Now I'm placing the acetate here in the same position that Mary did actually, so almost at the bottom of the card, not exactly at the bottom. And if you see the one that I've done here, let's bring that in, there's just a tiny sort of lip, perhaps, I don't know, a quarter of an inch, I guess. It really isn't an exact science, but definitely at the base of the card blank here. And what you want to do really is to measure up, well, not measure up, you want to line up the outside score of those tabs there to the edge of the card base, because what you're attempting to do is to lay the acetate flat as the card lays flat. So let me just show you that here. If I pick this up, I've attached both tabs down on either side here. Let's show you. So now if I'm holding this out flat, as it will be sitting in the envelope, you can see that the acetate is laying flat against the card base there. And that is, again, that is key, I would say, to this card. That's key to having your card lay flat and being able to fit into the envelope. And then it also gives you the option that when you come to stand the card up, you can use, oh, there's a bit of a spring in it actually. You can use the there you go. All I've done there, I'm just sort of making those folds of the acetate just a little bit more pliable. I burnished them really flat, so that gave me a really nice crease. But then if you just come up and just sort of tease that out again a little bit, like so, when you come to sort of stand the card, you don't need much more of a sort of a V than that for the card to stand up. But you can see then that the acetate also gives you that stability for the card as well. And then it still gives you that option to lay that flat. So that, I think, once you sort of once you get that, then the rest of the card builds really easy around. The next thing we want to do is go to the hinge that is sitting behind the house here. So if I just show you here, so this is the view from underneath the card. So we have the house sitting at the front here. You can see this is the hinge. It's all one piece of card actually, and this measures 1 inch in width. It can be a bit thicker actually, because the house is quite solid and quite high. I'll just show you here. You can afford perhaps even to have this a little bit higher, but I don't necessarily think you need to. So with this little hinge, what we need to do is score this again. So we need to score this at 3 inches and also at 1/2 inch. So again, what we're doing is making 2 1/2 inch tabs on this hinge. Okay, that will then leave us with this open area of 2.5 inches. I'm just thinking what I'm doing. Yeah. So we've got 2.5 inches here. Now what we need to do, we need to measure the center area of this. So we have 2.5 inches, so that's 1 1/4. So make just a slight mark down the center line, which is at 1 1/4 inches. So we aren't actually going to be making that fold, but it's a useful mark for us to line this up with the center of the card as well a little bit later on. Then from this center mark, we want to measure 1/2 inch this way, and then 1/2 inch this way. So from that central area, so I'll show you again. I made the 2 score marks, so I've made my 2 1/2 inch tabs, and I folded those in to give me that flat panel. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Then on this flat panel, which measures 2.5 inches, I've just very lightly marked the center, and then to the left and right of this center, I've made 2 more score marks, which will be folded, and I've made those marks 1/2 inch either side of that central line, and I will be making those folds there. Now we need to attach this. Oh no, not at this stage, bear with me. Okay, so now we have our mechanism for the house. Before we continue, what we need to do is then work on our panels, because our panels are going to go in next. Okay, so we put our hinge to one side. We don't need that just at this stage. Our panels go in next, and what that does, it hides the tabs that we've made from the acetate. Now, if you weren't decorating these panels, then obviously they could go straight in, or if you were using a design paper, perhaps you was using some of Lisa's is it the festive tapestry papers, then you obviously could cut these pieces to size and just put them in straight away. But as I say, what I wanted to do is just create a little bit of interest on the back of these. So I'm going to bring in, just to start with, this embossing folder. Now this, I haven't used this one for ages, but it's so properly Christmas that I thought it'd be a really nice time to use this. So this embossing folder is a slimline, so perfect size obviously for the height of these decorative panels. I will have to emboss twice because I can't fit both in obviously at the same time. So if you bear with me a minute. Okay, so that's one done. I'll just leave that there to look at. It's so pretty, isn't it? Especially in pink. I really like pink at Christmas, actually. I think, so many of you will possibly know that I'm not a fan of red, generally. Nothing against it, particularly for crafting with. I just can't seem to craft with it and make it look the way that I want it to look. So if I go for an alternative like pink or a really dark reddish pink even, then I would generally go for that. But look at this embossing folder. Isn't that just so pretty? Now if you were to team that with some teals, that would look really nice. I'm just looking for the backgrounds I made the other day. Oh yeah, there we are. Sorry, I just went off on a tangent then, but I'll show you why. One of the lives last week, I was using the explosion powders, and I used pink. Remember, I used the pink here, but I also used the teals. It's the day I made the triangle cards, whatever. And just the pink and the teals, I think, just work so nicely. Just look at them on there. Anyway, but then I digress. This is how we create ideas though, isn't it? We think back to other things that we've done and it sort of jogs a memory, doesn't it? So then we get distracted, and I think that's sometimes why our craft rooms end up a mess when we're crafting. And things can excuse me, that's why things can sometimes take so long to make, because we get a bit distracted. But anyway, back to this is the white core, as I say. So this is ideal to sand back. Now ideally what you'd have is Lisa's sanding blocks and the sandpaper. I only have sandpaper. Never did get around to ordering the blocks. I will do, perhaps when they're back in stock. So we can sand that back and create a really nice snow tipped effect. Actually, I think that this works so well on this particular design. And actually what I can do in a moment is just show you the difference between what I have done and what I haven't done. Look how pretty that is. Let me just bring that back down to there. Actually slightly better light, isn't it? Look how pretty that is, even with the sort of the white tip. The pink and white just works so well. So I will do the second one. I'm just looking. Metal stylus can be very helpful for scoring acetate. Yes, it can actually, Mary. That's a really good point. You need something with some strength in it, for sure. And just a little bit of perseverance. And so there's no point sort of rushing it and going too strong, but just sort of slow and steady with the scoring. You will get there with the acetate. And I'd rather use a better weight acetate and it take just that little bit longer to prepare than use an acetate that doesn't hold its shape. And we know that Lisa's acetate is great for holding its shape and is ideal for sort of creating with, especially in this way here. So I've sanded those panels back. There we are. So they look really cute, actually. I like those. So we could either have those sitting on there, like so, or, oh, show you, you can't see there, can you? So we have those panels sitting there like that. And I have already die cut the houses. So I'll just give you a quick example of how that looks. Just the pink and the white. See, sanding that white back on the pink really then works when you put the white house in front of it, doesn't it? So pretty. Christmas acetate is out of stock. Yeah. Yeah, Tracy Hayes acetate is just as good a quality, actually. It's of the same same construction build as well. So we'll put that to one side. So that's one background we can use. What I'm going to do is use the layering stencils for another background, and then I might get you to choose which one you prefer the best. And then whatever I don't use today, I shall probably make another card with and finish it off that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove those details from there now, because we've made that creation. So what I said I was going to do is use the cinnamon sticks and the oranges. Now what you could do, you could emboss and do exactly the same with this embossing folder as what I've just done here. You don't necessarily need to stencil them at all, actually. I will just stencil them just slightly. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be doing it in pinky hues. Actually, I've used a lot of pink on here already by the looks of things. So that will work really nicely for me. And I'm going to stencil onto the white core cardstock again. Now, I'm hoping, can I fit? I might be able to fit and do 2 panels at the same time. That would be quite a nice way of doing that. Oh, looks like my cutting has gone a little bit off there. So I've got my 2 panels, which I've cut to size. And I'm going to stencil the both of those together. Now, as you can see, it means that I can't use my peg system for the oh, hang on a minute, let's see how we're going to do this. I'm going to stencil one by one, and I shall do this really quickly. I was going to do the 2 at the same time, but it wasn't quite wide enough, and I was going to end up with a bit of a strip there that wasn't stenciled, which wouldn't have been ideal. Oh, has everything gone quite a little bit wonky? Has my camera gone wonky? Is it me gone wonky? I think my camera's gone wonky. Something's gone wonky today. There we are. I think that possibly works. So what I'm going to do is just quickly stencil, and I'm doing this really lightly. So garden sage for a little bit of the foliage at the top here. Now, if you look at the design paper closely of the Mary's card, it's got an ombre effect on it. It's got stars at the top that sort of twinkle down and fade into far less stars at the bottom. So I want to try and replicate that a little bit by having darker colour at the top and a sort of making it sort of ombre down as we go down towards the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try and make the ink and the images a lot darker at the top, and then just fade those images down towards the bottom so they are less apparent. Now, obviously, as I'm going to emboss these, the embossing will sort of make them more visible again. But if we can just add that little bit of colour, and say add more colour at the top, and then these ones down here, they're going to be less colourful. Sorry, I think I feel my voice going a little bit there. I'm just going to do these stars in another version of pink. Actually, I'm not worried about not doing the stars and not doing it in a conventional colours on this time, because I say I really do want to keep that pink theme. I think it works so well. So they're slightly darker at the top, and it's really sort of fading down to be a lighter colour at the bottom. So we have some bows, so we can add that. So this is the rum and raisin. It's a really nice colour, and it sits so well on top of the white core cardstock. Although the white core has the properties that you can sand away the top, I mean, it is still a nice cardstock to use in its own right. Now, you can see here that I really am being very, very gentle with the ink that's going on. I really don't want the colour to sort of overpower in this design at all. Which again is why I'm using the tonal colours and just making sure that we can see the design, just pick up a little bit of colour, but not a huge amount. As I say, what is going to really make this design stand out is the embossing afterwards, I think. Now, this is probably the one and only time one of the few times maybe that I would actually colour pine cones in purple. So I'm actually using Loganberry. So it's not actually a million, you know, it's sort of a quite understandable colour, I think. But I think that would work really nicely, and just perhaps just add a bit more detail like so. There, it's really subtle. It's going to be so subtle in the background, and a few extra bits for the stars, which I'll perhaps add in sugar candy. So I don't want to think too much about this really. There we are. So that's one of the panels created. It's a really nice way to create a background. I mean, there will be other times where I would definitely make sure that the stenciling I do was far more visible, and I'd take far more time in the blending and making sure that each layer was perfect and whatever. But that's not really the look that I'm going for this particular time. I do just want to add just a little bit of detail. Now I will ask you to choose which background to use. I think I already know which one I would want to use anyway. I have a feeling I know which one you're going to choose as well. But I thought I'd just give this a go because I just had this in my head as an option, as you do. So I'm just stenciling these in. So these are the orange segments, which I'm doing in pink. So this could actually be pink grapefruit, couldn't they, really? And pink stars, I don't think that matters at all. And then we have the rum and raisin bows. Actually, there are actually three nice colours to use together if you wanted a nice combination. I don't know if you can see that there. So we've got a nice glare on there. So we have garden sage, sugar candy, Loganberry, and rum and raisin. They're a really nice set of colours that all use that work so well together. Actually, they really do complement each other nicely. So although I'm using them on a pink background, if you were to use these on white, then obviously they'd stand out an awful lot more. But they do complement each other really well. So I'm just getting around to doing that all. So it really doesn't take long once you get going with these. Once you get going with the stenciling, particularly if you're not, say, too worried about making a nice proper blend. And I think when you just want to create a background like that, I think it can just come together really, really quickly. So I can take my embossing folder and I'm just going to quickly emboss this for you, just so as you can see how this comes together, and then we can finish off and complete the card. So bear with me a tick. So we have one piece there. Okay, and our second piece. And she looks really pretty on all the pinks together like that. Okay, and I think what I will do, I will sand those back as well, because that will just make it feel that's that little bit more festive, and I'll just be a little bit more gentle with sanding this back, because it will still keep the colour that I've stenciled, but you'll just have that little sprinkling of white over the top as well, so it gives a really nice unique finish. And it's hopefully what I'll do next year in my lives when we get back onto the florals and things again. I'll be using this technique throughout the year as well, and just, you know, enhancing some of the florals and any other designs that Lisa's sort of bringing out to us as well. So I think that is a really nice background. It's a very different background. So what do you think? Perhaps it's not a way that you would, or a colourway that you would have necessarily thought of using, but I think that works really nicely. And just the little hints of green in there just change that up just a little bit, don't they? So let's just show you that. So my question to you now is, which background would you like me to use to finish the card off? The candy canes or the ones with the cinnamon sticks and pine cones? What do we think? Hi Karen, you like the first one? I had a feeling you might like the first one. This one works really nicely, doesn't it? I think I might keep this one then, and I will definitely use this because I actually quite like the way that that's come out, but I will definitely go with the candy canes for me now. I had a feeling that that's the one that you might choose. They both work really nicely, don't they? And I think especially with the White House in front of them, it's just going to be really nice and fresh. Okay, with that in mind then, now that we've chosen the background, they can be stuck onto the card. So let's just recap a little bit. We've got our card base and we have our acetate attached. The acetate is attached. What we're doing now by adding the panels is hiding those acetate tabs behind there, and it also just gives that little bit of security also to the acetate tab. So that gets that finished. How many of you are actually enjoying using the white core card? Do many of you have it? Have you actually used it to its full and used its sort of properties to sand the details? I think it's the ideal thing to be using with Lisa's embossing folders. So I'll be looking forward to get some more colours of it next year as well. There we go. Oh, Sheila would have gone with the second one, and Rebecca would have done as well. Oh, that's good. I'm pleased that I actually really like that. I think that's really pretty. And I like, actually, I did manage to create like an ombre effect, so there's definitely more colour at the top than there is at the bottom, but I will definitely use that, and that's definitely going to go on a card. Possibly one similar to this actually. Okay, so we have our paneling. What we want to do now is come back to our little hinge that we have recreated for our house. So what we want to do in effect is attach this to the base of the card here, and in much the same way as we attached, I'm going to turn you back onto this camera now. Here you go. And as much as in the same way as we attached the acetate, making sure it was flat, we are going to attach the hinge here in exactly the same way. So what I want you to do is take the hinge, keep the tabs folded backwards like here, use this center point that you marked and line that up with the center of the card. Now, it's going to be tricky to see because what you are going to do is line it up under the acetate. I think it would possibly work because of the way that your house that you're using. You could line this up higher up as well, because what we will be doing is sitting the house on top of it. But it's entirely up to you. But I quite liked the fact that it was sort of lower down, and you could attach it, actually thinking about it, before the acetate. But line up the central mark that you made on your hinge with the center of your card, like so. And what we really want to do at this stage is just to attach both of the tabs. So you have your hinge like so, both tabs are folded back. Put the glue or adhesive of your choice on those tabs. Make sure that hinge stays flat. Attach it to the card by lining up the central mark that you made on your hinge with the central score mark on your card base. Okay, just hold that there and just make sure that your adhesive just takes. Okay. Oh, let's don't move that too much. So what we can do now, we've worked with everything with the card being flat, as if it was going to sit in an envelope. So once you're sure that your adhesive has taken here, now you can fold up and you can see exactly, oh, let's get the angle right. You can see exactly how this hinge works. Actually, let's do it from that way. There you go. Yeah. So once it goes flat, you can see that your hinge folds flat, and as does your acetate arch. But then when the card bends to stand up, your acetate bends to create your dome and your hinge moves forward. So whatever now is placed on the front of that hinge will become 3D in your card. And it doesn't have to be a house. I'm making Mary's card, so we had the house, and it's obviously Christmas. But if you wanted to adapt this to any card through the year, this could be a tree. It could be a person, it could be a bunch of flowers, and I think that would all work just really nicely with this mechanism, of course. So now what we can do, we can come into, let me switch cameras again. Okay, there we are, back to the front. So we can come back to our houses. Now, what I thought was an absolute genius idea by Mary that I would never have thought of doing was shadowing the houses with some glitter card, like so. So I've embossed the house again. I'm not stenciling these, but I've used the dies just to cut some glitter card. It can be any contrasting card. I've used glitter card because Mary did. And what you want to do is just shadow the white house over the top of the glitter card, so you have a tiny little bit of the glitter poking out to one side. Now, the side that you do that obviously is your preference. So it could either be that side, it could be that side, or you could shadow it and have it like that and have a little bit peeping out at the bottom as well. And what you want to do is attach those two pieces together. Now, obviously, when you're attaching anything to glitter card, it does take just a little bit longer to take. It gets there eventually with Lisa's glue, but it's not quite as quick as if you were going to super smooth cardstock to smooth cardstock, but it will get there with the glitter glue, with the glitter card, but you do just need to be a little bit patient. So we have one house that has been shadowed with the silver glitter. Now this is Lisa's Euphoria glitter card, of course, and I've also used the dies to cut a pink version. Again, I'm just going exactly with what Mary used. and I shall do exactly the same and shadow this house onto pink glitter cardstock, which again matches the pink background really nicely. And I'm just going to make sure that that takes, because it does just take a little bit longer. So we have our house for the front and our house for the back. Now what we want to do, we attach this house to the hinge. So what I'm going to do is just take my glue and I'm just going to put the glue onto that front panel of the hinge there, and you can see now why we created these two extra score lines here. And I'm going to pop the house in, and I'm just going to line that up then with the bottom of the hinge, which then lines up with the bottom of the acetate. Now, because everything is happy to fold flat, you can really secure the house down by folding that down like so. While you're here, you can then add the second house to the front, just offset it a little bit from the one in the background, and you can see now side by side that we have the silver glitter paper and the pink glitter cardstock here. Just allow that to take onto the acetate just a little bit, and then we can just fold the card up a little bit. And there we have our 3D card. And I'm just going to turn you back here. A 3D card, which now stands up. That isn't ideal with the shadows there, but I'll show you. It does stand up by itself. And then you can see that the house is 3D here. You have the house on the front, and that looks lovely with the background in the detail. Now what Mary did do, so she decorated the back differently. She had some snowflakes that were put on to the background panels here. Again, you just go with whatever sort of detailing you want here. Also, Mary had another of Lisa's sentiment dies. It was is it Deck the Halls? Is it Deck the Halls, Mary? Let me go back to the main picture here. Let's have a look. Yeah, it was Deck the Halls. You can see there on the picture, Deck the Halls, which came out the same time as this die here. I had this one. I didn't get the Deck the Halls, but the Deck the Halls is absolutely perfect because it fits perfectly on the acetate there. But it's a multi-layered die, and I think there might have been other sentiments in that set as well, so that would be perfect to fit on there. Failing that, then you have other die cut sentiments that you can use on there. I'm sure you all have many of them, but I also have this little bag of sentiments that I die cut from Lisa's Spellbinders Better Press the other day. So one of those I think would fit perfectly on the front there also. Possibly even a black one. I don't know. Maybe I'd go with a white one there. Yeah, I'd go with the white one with the silver on the thing there. So we've got the festive cheer. And I think what I might do, I might use a foam pad to add that onto the acetate. There, like that. Okay, so there we go. We can see the two cards side by side there. Colours are very similar actually, aren't they? They are very similar indeed, but say you can really go to town and have your artistic license with how you create the colour in the background. We we could have used those ones instead. You can see actually why now. It's tricky to add those on afterwards, but yeah, there's different ways you can sort of decorate those in the background. But whichever way, that white core cardstock I think has worked really nicely. So that's how we create that card. I hope Sue manages to pop in and have a little look at that as well. What's that? Sheila loves a glitter shadow. I know. I would never have thought of doing that, but it's a genius idea. And it adds a completely different look to those houses, especially as they're just white and embossed, aren't they? Yeah, I think that's really, really pretty. So I'd have to say thank you to Mary for making the card and letting me make that for her as well. I did ask permission beforehand, but we always look forward to what Mary makes and puts them into the group as well. So if you do decide to have a go at this, it is actually quite straightforward, and I was chatting to you for a good hour about that, but yeah, give it a go. Post them into the group as well. Let us all have a look. I'm sure Mary will be thrilled if you decide to make some of them as well. So that's me finished for this year. I'll be back with you. I can't remember where the date's for, but I'll be back with you in the new year, definitely January. So 2025. I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Hope you all stay well, stay safe, stay dry and warm. Thank you so much for all of you for your company this year. I've done lots of lives with you. There's a good few names that pop up each week, so it's lovely to have you here. It's really nice to see new names as well. So I should look forward to seeing you all again next year. And take care, everyone. Thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to tune into Lisa on Friday afternoon as well. It'll be nice to see Lisa back chatting with us again. So she'll keep us updated and catch us up on all the gossip in the detail and what's coming up in the new year and what's happening over Christmas and things as well. So I should probably pop in there as well. So I'll probably see many of you and say hello on Friday evening, but I won't be back with you on a live until 2025. So take care, everyone.